Hey guys, Hex here, and this is a guide to help you make one of your first and possibly most crucial decisions in the Skyrim universe. I'll start off by stating the facts about each race, and then I'll go on to give my personal opinion about each one afterward. So let's get right on into this, and I just want to start off by saying that each character starts off with their own specific skill boosts at the beginning of the game. For example, the Wood Elf, or Bosmer, start off with a bonus of 10 archery and plus 5 in light armor, sneak, lock picking, pickpocket, and alchemy. And this is similar for all other races as well. I'm not going to go into detail about each and every class though, as I want you all to understand that this should have no effect on your decision in any way. Because as you level up these skills, you'll just simply level them up by using them, so it pretty much becomes pointless to pick a character based on that. Basically, if you're looking to have a good endgame character, none of this should matter to you at all, so let's move on to resistances. A majority of the races in Skyrim have a natural resistance to one or two sources, such as the Nords. They have a resistance to cold damage, and the Wood Elves, they have a resistance to both poisons and diseases. And this should also have no effect on your decision because it's possible to find or even enchant your own armor with resistances of any type. So now that we've knocked those two subjects off the table, the rest is simple. I'll state what each race truly has to offer, starting from the top with the Argonians. Alright. So the Argonians have an ability called Hit Skin that allows them to recover health 10 times faster for 60 seconds. And they also have the ability to breathe underwater. The Bretons are able to absorb 50% of magic from hostile spells for 60 seconds. The Dark Elf have an ability that allows them to envelop themselves in fire, and for 60 seconds any opponents that get within a certain range of their there's a field around them, and if they get into that field, then they take 8 points of fire damage a second. The High Elf regenerates magicka faster for 60 seconds, and they start off with 50 extra magicka. The Imperials have an ability that allows them to calm enemies near them for 60 seconds. A lot of 60 seconds up in this shit. The Khajiit have an ability that allows them to use night vision for 60 seconds, and they also have an increased unarmed damage of 15 points. The Nord can use an ability called Battle Cry, which causes targets to flee for 30 seconds. The Orc take half damage and do double damage for 60 seconds. Redguard have stamina regeneration for 10 times faster for 60 seconds. And finally, the Wood Elf, they can make any animal an ally for 60 seconds. And now I will say what I think about each one. Starting from the bottom and just working our way back up. The Wood Elf, you can find a shout that allows you to control animals, making this class completely pointless. So I don't recommend choosing this class ever, because his ability was to allow him to control animals, and if you can get a shout later on that allows you to do that, that makes him completely pointless. The red guard, his ability was to regenerate stamina 10 times faster for 60 seconds. I find that to be pretty pointless, but if you can actually... I mean, that's pretty much personal preference. If you use stamina that much to where you'd find that to be helpful, then good on you, pick this class, but I wouldn't recommend that either. The Orc, I think, has possibly one of the best abilities in the game. He takes half damage, doing double damage for 60 seconds, which there's just no downside to that. If you can be a sneaking class, then you can use it. That works with bows, that works with everything, that's just amazing. I personally have never played as the Orc, but his ability is absolutely amazing. So, the Nord, his ability was to cause targets to flee for 30 seconds. I don't exactly think that's very helpful either. There's spells you can get in the game that allow you to do that. And there's actually scrolls that will do exactly the same thing, which are like area of effect, like his ability is. The Khajiit are possibly one of the better ones to choose as well, just because of his unarmed damage increase. He does an extra 15 points of unarmed damage. I know a lot of you will think that's just absolutely pointless, and I can agree with that, but there's an ability in the heavy armor skill tree that if you use it with this, you can make an actual unarmed character. And this is like the only class I would actually consider doing that with. The Imperial, he had the ability to calm nearby enemies for 60 seconds. And he actually had another ability that allowed him to find more gold coins where other people wouldn't, and other races wouldn't find as many coins. This class is pretty much pointless as well, because money, as you know, as you get farther in the game, it doesn't become as much of a factor. It's not really that big of a deal. You shouldn't be worried about money if you're picking a character that you're going to be happy with at the end game. And also his ability, you're going to be using spells, so there are calm spells that you can use over that. The High Elf, he starts off with 50 extra magic, and that's basically like having 5 extra levels. And this is probably one of my personal favorites just because of that alone, just having the 50 extra magic points right off at the beginning of the game. And I don't even use magic that often, so... But that just... Like, it just feels like you have 5 extra levels right at the beginning of the game. And he also has the ability to regenerate magicka faster for 60 seconds. And that is... Like, as fast as that goes, like, that is amazing. Like, it regenerates your magicka astonishingly fast. It's ridiculous. And one last thing about the High Elf is that height, it's not very noticeable, but it actually affects your character's movement speed. And the High Elf is the highest class in the game as far as height goes. And he is the fastest movement-wise. If that's enough reason for you to pick him, then it's just a little extra thing to know. I'm not going to state what each of the classes are height-wise, but the Breton is the shortest, and he will move the slowest out of all of them. If you want to test that for yourself, then you can go for it, but it has been proven. So now the Dark Elf. His ability was to envelop himself in fire for 60 seconds, causing anyone who got close to him to take fire damage. And it looks pretty cool, and I personally wouldn't choose this class, but that's my personal preference. I would never choose the Dark Elf, because that's pretty much all he's got going for him is that ability. The Breton, like I said, the height thing, it makes him the slowest class in the game. Not too noticeable, but it is there. And his Dragon Skin ability, which allows him to absorb 50% of magicka from spells for 60 seconds, is pretty pointless. I would never pick this class either. I mean, the only time that ability is ever going to be helpful to you is if you're actually getting hit by magic spells. And if you're looking for magicka regeneration, you might as well just pick the High Elf. And finally, the Argonian. He also has one of the best abilities in the game. Hit Skin allows him to recover health 10 times faster for 60 seconds. Which it makes you almost invincible having this ability. Because if you're about to die, you just use your ability button and it'll save you. It saved me more than I'm proud to say, so just go on that. And also, of course, the Argonian has the water breathing ability, which allows him to breathe underwater. And it's a pretty cool ability to have, but there's also an alteration spell that allows you to breathe underwater, so it kind of makes that pointless. And you can also enchant helmets to allow you to breathe underwater. So just keep that in mind if you're picking the Argonian just for that. So that's my opinion on all the races, and I just threw a lot of shit at you. You might want to watch this again if you didn't quite catch everything on the first time through. It's kind of a lot of information to take in on the first watch through. So basically my top picks would be the Argonian, the High Elf, and the Khajiit is pretty good. I wouldn't recommend using them unless you're going to use unarmed damage, so I know most of you aren't going to be doing that, so I really wouldn't recommend the Khajiit otherwise. And the Orc, like I said, absolutely amazing for his ability. I've never used him before, but that's just personal preference, probably just because of the appearance. But I know on my next character I'm going to be going with the High Elf. And one last thing I want to throw in here is that the each class actually has their own. They have their own war paint. Like, they have war paint that's specific to each race. Like, he has something that goes on his back. Like, let's get a better example. We got the Bretons. We'll do like 3 human races. If you go all the way to the right, that's the ones that are unique to their class. You got this, that. Those are unique completely to the Bretons. And if you go down to the Imperials, go all the way to the right, these are completely unique face paints to the Imperials. And just one last look, we'll go to the Nords. And there's war paint that's completely unique to them as well. So that's the last little tidbit that I can put for picking a class. Just war paint. Just one last thing I thought I should point out, and that's just personal preference as well. But that's it. This is the very first ever tips and tricks video on Hexagon Retreat, so don't judge me too harshly. Throw in your opinions as well. I'll talk to you guys in the comments, and on December 5th we got the Dragonborn DLC coming out, so I'll definitely be doing a Let's Play for that. Hope to see you guys there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.